Hi, my name is Minsu, and I'm 30 years old, and I come from Illinois, and right now I live in Minnesota. I was born in Korea. My parents brought me back to the States when I was about 1 year old. Raised in America for most of my life, but I visited Korea once in a while here and there with my mom, and I've even lived there for about 1.5 years until I came back to Illinois with my parents. Been in Illinois since. And so when I started in college, I majored in Japanese, and so because of that I got to go to Japan, and I stayed in Nagoya, Japan for a whole year. Ever since coming back from Japan, I graduated school, so I was working for a little bit, in jobs here and there, but then because of circumstances I lost, the job I had in Illinois, and then Ashley, offered, give me a chance to come to Minnesota and live with her. And so I've been in Minnesota since. Okay, so me and Ash met in ASEN 2012. I met her through a mutual friend of mine, and then so I got to meet Ashley through him, and then we got to know each other a little bit more, and then we just kind of really hit it off since then. So then ever since then we knew we wanted to make this relationship work somehow, even despite the distance. And and I really feel like it's paid off now that now we're living together, and distance isn't an issue anymore. I would say that if you really care about the person, distance shouldn't be the issue. We've been together for over 2 years now, and our next anniversary will be in next April. So it'll be our 3-year anniversary next April. Because of after meeting Ashley, I got to meet everyone in NYAHpro Productions. So my first cosplay with them was Kyoya from Oran High School Host Club, of course, and I think that's one of the staples of our group. And then of course afterwards we decided to do an Adventure Time cosplay group together, and then I was Marshall Lee and Ashley was Fiona, and that became one of my favorite cosplays that I've ever done now. I forgot to mention I also did was the Seal from Utano Prince Sama. That's the most recent one I decided to do with them. Favorite thing about NYAHpro Productions is I just love how supportive our fans are. It seems like no matter what we do, it seems like they always enjoy it. I really appreciate that. I personally think it makes us just want to work harder to make even more entertaining things for our fans. I've been going to cons for maybe about almost 10 years now. Because all I did was just wear a black suit and carry a sword around and said I was a Yakuza member. Well, afterwards I went to this con called Anime Reactor. I did I got like the Umbrella Soldier from Resident Evil. Even then, I guess it wasn't really a particular character during that time either. But right now my favorite cosplays are my Marshall Lee and Susumu Kodai from Space Battleship Yamato. In the immediate future, I'm to maybe cosplaying as Welkin Gunther from the game Valkyria Chronicles. Planning to do a Superboy cosplay soon. I've done it before, but I wasn't really too happy with how it turned out. I had a Captain Harlock outfit done, but I want to redo it. If I had the money or the ability to, I would try to improve upon it a lot more. If I had the time and the ability to, put together this cosplay of this character called Babyhead. Basically, he's this baby who drives a mech that's the size of like a person, like a regular sized person, and he's from a video game called Captain Commando. And I just thought, even if people don't understand where it's from, people would think, oh, it's a baby riding a robot, and they're gonna be like, how cool is that? My favorite anime of all time, if I had to just pick just one, would be Macross Plus. Macross as a series is one of my favorite series. Macross Plus in particular, I felt like, the visuals, the characters, the way the story was written, I just thought it was, just top notch. Mobile Suit Gundam, some people might know it here as Robotech, but I'm more of a purist to the original Japanese version. Space Battleship Yamato, Galaxy Express, which is what I used to watch as long as I can remember, since maybe I was a little kid, even before I knew what anime was really. So that was my first exposure to anime. And then of course I grew up with reading Dragon Ball as a kid. Before I knew it, anime's always been a part of my life in some way or form. But as I got older, I just got more and more into it, and it became more part of my life. It's hard to tell. There's anime, there's movies, and then there's whole series, there's an OVAs. So as when it comes to like favorite anime movies, I would say maybe Akira, Memories, Macross Plus being one of them. Actually, that was an OVA and a movie. I grew up, one of my favorites was Guyver, and as you can tell, I'm a big old school fan. Being an anime fan, one should appreciate, where the anime we have today comes from. Of course we can't leave out watching anime or reading manga, of course. and I do read some comic books here and there, as in American comic books. As well as, let's see, of course I love video games. And some of my favorite video games of all time, Shenmue and Xenogears. And my favorite series are Metal Gear Solid. I can also cosplay as Raikkonen from that series. And Metal Gear Solid 3 is my favorite of all of them that's come out so far. The Resident Evil series, and of course I grew up with some NES, original NES games as a kid, because I was from that time, and I also grew up with Super Nintendo. I played video games, and that was a big part of my life as well. I got more and more into video games as I grew up as well. Some of my favorite video games of other systems, maybe. Guardian Legend is one of my favorite games for the NES because it had a really good mix of RPG and shooter. And PlayStation 1, Xenogears that's the first RPG I played all the way through, and I kind of learned how to play RPGs from there. Great mix, a great story, and I love I love the mechs inside it. Me being such a big Gundam and Macross fan. I am also a Fire Emblem fan. I'm currently playing on the PS3, Valkyria Chronicles. I'll just say it's like Fire Emblem except World War II. Dramatical Murder, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and then of course Attack on Titan. Finished that one of course. Also finished watching Madoka a little while ago. I'm living part of my life in Korea. I'm living part of my life in America. I was exposed to different kind of cultures, and I feel like it's played a big part in making me the person I am today. And then of course studying in Japan also a little bit as well. I speak Korean and English fluently, and I majored in Japanese, so I speak Japanese. Although I'm still working on it and I'm still learning on that. I went to the same school as Patrick Stump from Fall Out Boy, and we were actually even friends. I love cute things. And we got a lot of babies over at our place. A lot of babies. Got our baby kitty Chai. Cute things are my life, I would say. My faith is very important to me. I've been going to church since I was a little kid, but as I got older, I started taking my faith more seriously. For being a little guy, I eat quite a lot, people say. I've been told I have a funny laugh, and even now I don't understand why. I love making corny jokes. I live for the face palms. Let's just say that. And I love B-movies. I love laughing at movies that just turn out that are just so bad you just can't help but enjoy them in its own way. I've been building models since I was a kid, and I still dabble in it once in a while when I have the time. There's Maytel from Galaxy Express. She was one of my anime crushes for a long time, I would say. There's Solid Snake from Metal Gear. I mean, who can hate Snake, right? There's also RoboCop, for talking about just, movies. Yeah, well, anything that's from Leiji Matsumoto, which is the artist for, Galaxy Express, Space Battleship Yamato, Captain Harlock. It's just, it's harder to see, figures made for that anymore. So whenever I see those, I have to get some. I have to get them. And yes, I'm a big figure collector. A lot of music from, different anime, of course. My favorite genres are power metal, a little bit of K-pop, a little bit of J-pop, and I'm actually pretty open to anything. Chemical Romance, Animetal USA, they do a lot of cover songs for, different anime. Oh yes, and then there's Evanescence, I love their music. Panic at the Disco, one of my favorite anime singers from anime of all time is Isao Sasaki, and he did the songs from Galaxy Express, Space Battleship Yamato, amongst other anime. He has the most unique voice that I've ever heard. Why can't we all just get along? Marvel. Super Sentai all the way. How about both? Robot Apocalypse, because everyone wants a zombie apocalypse. Cherry! Horse-sized duck, that would be interesting. I like them both, but if I had to pick one, cats. Red. Chocolate. I would say manga. Asia. So my advice to cosplayers are, first off, welcome to our world. be happy and be true to yourself. Remember, it's all about having fun. You know, it's not about, you know, who has the best cosplay and stuff. And isn't it nice to see some variety anyway? Be happy and true to yourself. Cosplay and out of cosplay.
Someone's sleepy and sticking her tongue out. Oh, yep, she got it back in.
And I part leaving you these words to you. Don't drink Jaeger, otherwise you'll see giants. God bless you, good night!